Good day, class. Today's topic, we are going to talk about the role of housekeeping in the hospitality operations or hospitality industry. Let's look at the learning outcomes. The number one is to classify a hotel according to the level of services provided. Number two is to explain the responsibilities of management and the major divisions that one finds in a hotel. Number three is to explain the relationships between housekeeping and the front of the department. And the last one is to explain the relationship between housekeeping and the rest of the departments in the establishment or rather in the hotel. Let's look at the housekeeping department. What is so important about this department? They say efficiently managed housekeeping departments ensure the cleanliness, maintenance, and the appeal of the lodging properties. The housekeeping department not only prepares guest rooms to be cleaned, but it also does that on a timely basis for the arriving guests, and it also cleans and maintains everything else in the hotel, meaning other departments like restaurants, the staff offices, the kitchen, etc. They also make sure that all this, everything in the hotel is so fresh and is attractive to make sure that guests do come back. Now let's look at the types of hotels that we get in three types of services that we get in hotels. We have three types. One is the economy hotel, number two is the mid-range service hotels, and number three is the world-class service or luxury hotels. Now, what type of services do we get under these three types of hotels? Let's look at number one, which is the economy hotel. What type of services do we get under the economy hotels? We get meeting rooms, but they're very small meeting rooms. We get very limited food and beverage services. We get swimming pools. We have playgrounds. We have families with children. We have bus tour groups. We also cater for business travelers. We also cater for vacationers. We also want to cater for pensioners in these economy hotels because, as we know, pensioners don't really have a lot of money. And we also focus on groups. We also focus on groups. And then we also look at what type of rates, special rates can we get so we can attract our customers in these economy hotels. So let's look at the mid-market hotels. The mid-market hotels, we definitely focus on families. We look at the military people. We look at the educators, as in education, like probably the government. We look at the travel agents because they need to have those special rates. We look at the senior citizens because they after that they want to travel. We look at the corporate groups that also need those special rates. And overall, we must also look at normal business travelers, on their on expense accounts. And we must also look at tourists, normal tourists. We could have local tourists or international tourists. Right, let's look at luxury hotels. Luxurious hotels. Obviously, here we are looking at the wealthy people. Now, what type of facilities do we have in luxury hotels? Expensive furnishing, the decor, the artwork, spacious meeting rooms, the concierge service, special guest room and bathroom amenities. We are looking about lotion, body lotion. We're talking about conditioners, shampoos, everything. And the most important one here under the luxury hotels is the 10 down service. As we all know, 10 down service is when they give you either suites or biltong, depending on what the hotel policy is. They offer you all these beautiful things when it comes to 10 down, and that's a very special service, and we only get, obviously, this service in luxury hotels. Then what type of guests do we get in the luxury hotels? Let's look at the executives, the top business executives. Let's look at the political figures, the high-ranking political figures, the celebrities, and the other wealthy people. All these people, obviously, we want them in the luxury hotels. Then, under the departments of the hotel, we have the hotels. As a housekeeping department, we have two major important sectors under these two departments. The centers that we get under these two departments are the revenue center and the support center. What is a revenue center? Obviously, this center is the one that generates money, meaning in a hotel, in every hotel, you have departments that generate revenue, meaning you can see that they are generating it. But it does not mean it's just that specific department that is making money. These departments have support centers that are helping them, meaning not one single department revenue generates revenue alone. Let's look at the support centers. The support centers are housekeeping, the accounting, the engineering, maintenance, human resources departments. These departments obviously support the front office, for example, department. Why am I saying so? Housekeeping, make sure that the rooms are clean. So that's why it's supporting the revenue center. Maintenance is making sure that all the rooms are in good condition when it comes to leakages, bulbs are done, the tiles, all these things. It's maintenance and engineering responsibility. So they are supporting the front office. Let's look at HR. They are hiring, so they are in a way supporting the front office. So that is the support center supporting the front office. What about the food and beverage? The same. Housekeeping department, make sure the drop downs are done at these at certain rooms. So making sure that food and beverage department has all the information about what type of guests we are getting, honeymooners, wedding days, etc. Diabetes, all these people with conditions also. That is the departments working together. Okay. So all the revenue centers, we actually call them front of the house departments, because we see them. When you go to the front desk, you see people. When you go to the food and beverage outlets like the bars and the restaurants, you also see people. So these departments, we call them front of the house. And the back of the house departments are the accounting, the engineering. We don't get to see these people. The reason why we don't see them is because they are supporting the front desk, or rather the front desk and the food and beverage department. We also have the hotel divisions and departments, others that are also support centers, and they are, for example, the engineering department, the accounting department, the security department. And we spoke earlier how important the security department is. Security department does a lot of things for the hotel, so it caters for both, meaning it supports both the front office and the food and beverage departments. Sales and marketing is the same. Sales we make sure that we are selling our products, and obviously marketing. How does it contribute to the front desk? What type of a support is it that it serves the front desk? When it comes to marketing, we look at how many people are we getting? Where are these people coming from? So we look at the guest registration cards, and we have how many Germans, for example, Italians, the Chinese, and so forth. So this specific department gets information from the front desk to make sure that where should they focus their attention to now, or maybe they should come to the locals. So only with this information can they do their marketing. So it's supporting the front office, obviously, to make sure that we get more business. Right. Now, what is the importance of the housekeeping department in a specific hotel? Now we are looking at specific attributes. Housekeeping establishes a hotel's reputation for cleanliness and quality. It plays a vital role in building a relationship between the guests and ensuring repeat business, as it is responsible for the guest's comfortable stay in hotels. As we know, guests spend more time in a room than any other area in a hotel. So keeping the room clean is the duty of the housekeeping. To the room cleaning, and it's the duty of the housekeeping department also, satisfaction of the visits of the hotel, and to make sure that the guests come back again to the specific hotel. Now, as we are all happy about being in this hotel departments, let's look at the communication between the two main departments of rooms division. Number one, the housekeeping. Number two, the front office. What type of communication do these people have, do you think? Okay, they have three types: written, mechanical, and computerized. What do they mean by written communication? Written communication, obviously, the housekeeping, or rather the front office department, make sure that the housekeeping knows about how many rooms are occupied, how many rooms are not occupied, how many rooms are on hold, meaning they need maintenance, how many rooms are stay on, meaning they don't need a proper cleaning, as in people checking out, but they need a certain cleaning. So they also, front office also prepare housekeeping status reports, meaning this room is on out of order, for example, it needs maintenance to fix certain rooms. So when we look at all these things, we see that written communication is very much needed in our establishment. Okay, we also have something called room status discrepancy, meaning it is a situation in which the housekeeping department's description of a room differs from the front desk's description of a room, meaning mistakes happen. So keeping room status information up to date requires close coordination between the department of front desk and the housekeeping department. So the two most common systems for tracking current room status obviously are the mechanical room status and the computerized status. Now let's look at the computerized communication, or rather the mechanical communication. We have a room rec at the front desk. This room rec is filled, the information is filled at the registration process, or rather when the guest is checking in. And then the registration form is filled with the guest name and other necessary information and placed in the room rec slot. Meaning it's corresponding to the assigned room number. And the presence of a room rec slip indicates that the room is occupied, or it's not. It depends on what, and the guest, when the guest checks out, obviously you change it. So when you also work with the room rec, you will see that there's a certain communication. It tells you whether the guests are in the room, they have checked out, or the guest is it's out of order and is waiting for maintenance to finish. Let's look at the computerized communication. Obviously, the computerized communication, uh, the room status system and the housekeeping front desk uses a computer terminal, which ensures instant and access to the room status. When a guest checks out, a front desk agent enters the departure into the computer, which alerts housekeeping that the room needs cleaning. After the room is cleaned and inspected, housekeeping enters this information into the terminal, and this is how the front desk is informed that the room is available for sale. And when the computer system is connected to the guest room system, the supervisors can enter the code to make sure that the room is ready for resale. And this saves time and energy in informing the front desk about the room status. This is the end of our lesson. Can we please have questions?